So today we're going to look at solving equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. And the one thing that you need to be aware of is that we're trying to get, first of all, we're going to simplify on both sides where we combine like terms. And then we have to get all the variables on one side and all the numbers on the other side. So let's look at one and see what happens here. So our first example, example 1, we've got some x terms on the left of the equal sign and on the right of the equal sign. So I'm going to draw our line like we have when we've been solving equations before, and we're going to go ahead and combine the negative 8x and the 2x, which would be negative 6x. And then there's nothing to combine the negative 16 with. And on the other side of the equal sign, we can combine negative 5 and 7x, which is 2x. All right, now, when I look at something like this, I think, well, I've got an x on this side, an x on this side, and I've got only a constant on the left. So what I'm going to do is keep that constant there, since it's already there, and I'm going to move this to the other side. Well, how do I do that? Well, what I have to do is have negative 16 alone first, which is kind of weird. But if I add a positive 6x, and let's go ahead and make that plus negative 16. If I add these two, these are additive inverses. So I'm going to get 0, and 0 plus negative 16 is going to give me just that negative 16 all by itself. But remember, it's balanced, so whatever I do to one side, add 6x, I have to do the other side. So I'm going to add 6x to this like term, 2x, and that gives me 8x. And let's bring the equal sign straight down. So it's still balanced, it's still equal because I've added 6x to both sides. And the reason I did that is because now I've got this constant alone, and I have all my x's on the other side. So now it's just a one-step equation. So I want to get x alone. So I'm going to either multiply by the multiplicative inverse so I can get 1x, or I can just multiply by 1/8, which is the multiplicative inverse of 8, is the same thing as dividing by 8. So it's easier, I'm just going to divide by 8 on both sides. So 8 divided by 8 is 1, so I have 1x, which is x alone. I'm going to bring down the equal sign. On the other side, I have negative 2. So my solution is x is negative 2. So now we're going to check that. And when we check, we go back to the original equation. So it's negative 8 times, and I'm going to go in and put in my solution for x. I think it's negative 2. Plus, and we have 2 times x, which is negative 2. Minus 16. I'm just going back to this original equation. And then on the other side, we want to know, is this balanced? Is this going to be equal to negative 5 times x, which is negative 2, we hope, and plus 7 times x, which is negative 2. Alrighty, so now I'm just going to start on the left and use order of operations and get it simplified. So I'm going to multiply. Negative 8 times negative 2 is positive 16. Plus 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and then plus negative 16, or we'll just make it minus 16. Now, if you notice here, I've got 16, and that's like plus negative 16. I'm going to add those first because that's 0, and then 0 plus negative 4 is just negative 4. So let's check the other side. Hopefully it is negative 4 also. So negative 5 plus, or times negative 2 is positive 10, plus 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. And those two do add up to negative 4. So I got the same thing on both sides, so it checks. All right, second example. So on this one, we've got, already have a negative x on one side, and I've got to do some simplifying over here. So let's do the simplifying and then talk about what to move. So I'm going to distribute that 7 because I can't combine x minus 2 because I don't know what x is yet. I draw my line here. So I've got negative x, or we can call that negative 1x, plus 7 times x is 7x, plus, and this is like a -2. 7 times -2 is -14. And then again on the other side we have -x, and that's like -1x. All right, so now I've got like terms that I can combine here. So -1x and 7x is 6x plus -14. And on the other side, I've got -1x. So now I need to move all my variables to one side and whole numbers or constants to the other. Well, I only have a constant on this side, so let's leave it here. And let's get 0 over here by subtracting the additive inverse of 6x, which is -6x. So now 0 plus -14 is just -14. Bring down my equal sign. And on the other side, I also have to subtract or add -6x. So if I'm adding -6x to -1x, that's -7x. Now it's a one-step equation. And so now I'm going to get x alone in its multiplication. So I'm going to divide by the multiplicative inverse. No, I'm going to divide by -7, the multiplicative inverse of which is multiplying by -1/7, but this is the same thing. So I'm going to divide by -7 on the other side. So -7 divided by -7 is 1x. 1 times x is x alone. Bring down my equal sign. And -14 divided by -7 is +2. So let's check it. So when we go to check it, we are going to plug in 2 wherever we see an x. So I've got -x, so I'm going to put in 2 for x. I want to know, does that equal -x again, so -x is 2, plus 7 times the quantity, x, which is going to be 2, plus -2, or that's -2, same thing though, that's okay. Alrighty, so now I already know the left side has got to be -2. The right side, I'm going to start inside the parentheses, and -2 plus 2 is 0. I'm going to multiply that by 7, and then I'm going to add -2. Well, that's 0. 7 times 0. Multiply first. Add -2 to 0. I get -2. Got -2 on both sides, so it checks. All right, so now you're going to do some problems, and tomorrow when you come in, and so that I know you watched the video, what you're going to do is you're going to take your paper and you're going to fold it long ways. Okay, so I'm folding it down the middle long ways. And then on this side over here, okay, where you did this side of the work, you're going to write, I watched the video. Then you have to put my trademark. You have to put exclamation point, and a smiley face underneath it. And then you're just going to sit it like this. It'll kind of be a little bit of a tint, but you don't want to make it obvious. But just so when you lay it down, I can see it, and I can see your little note there. So try to make it flat, but I'll be able to see the fold, and then I'll be able to see that you said I watched the video. Okay? There. All right. See you tomorrow.